Every single text message, I want timestamps. It is conspicuous that you are not telling us when this was sent. Because it sounds like it's when the campus is on lockdown and he's got to go back and got to clean up, and then all of a sudden we're in the next day when his dad is getting clued in after the picture.
Charlie's wasn't random. It was scheduled.
I feel like at the beginning of this investigation, I was very clear. I said there will be no fakeness and there will be no gayness in this investigation.
Candace Owens shocked the entire social media world in a single moment. During a short live broadcast, she made a revelation that left millions of people stunned. Calmly but firmly, she stated that Joe Rogan had once tried to warn Charlie Kirk about his own wife before everything began to collapse. At first, it sounded unbelievable, but the way Candace spoke, low, clear, and without hesitation, sent chills down everyone's spine. There was no humor in her tone, no hint of exaggeration. She looked straight into the camera, her expression steady and cold, and her voice eerily calm. Candace declared that there was something people needed to know, something involving Joe Rogan, Charlie, and Erica. Something completely unexpected. Every pause between her words made the air feel heavy, and even her breathing carried weight. The atmosphere during that live stream became tense and electric, the kind that makes viewers hold their breath. Within seconds, the comment section erupted. "Wait, Joe Rogan knows something?" One person typed frantically. "What is she implying?" Another asked. Moments later, clips from Candace's live began spreading like wildfire across every platform, from X and TikTok to YouTube. Hashtags such as #RoganRevealed and #CandaceDrop started trending worldwide. The internet became flooded with speculation, swinging between curiosity and fear. It wasn't just online drama anymore. It was the kind of moment when a rumor begins to feel like the start of something real. Viewers everywhere were whispering the same thought. Maybe this isn't just another internet story. Maybe something bigger is actually happening. Then Candace leaned closer to the camera and whispered, "Get your snacks, because things are about to get chaotic." And she wasn't exaggerating. That single sentence transformed the discussion from casual gossip into an all-out digital storm. Every word she spoke, every glance she gave, every second of silence became material for analysis. People slowed down her footage, dissected her facial expressions, and treated every movement as evidence in a massive mystery. Those who had followed Candace for years claimed they had never seen her this serious before. She wasn't trying to shock anyone for attention. Her tone was matter-of-fact, almost investigative. "At the beginning of this investigation," she said, "I made it clear that there will be no fakery and no nonsense in this process." But it seemed some people didn't take her seriously, because, according to Candace, many lies were already being told. She pointed out that after Charlie's assassination, the same people who had once tried to damage him financially and reputationally were now attempting to glorify him. Candace stated that footage existed showing a woman accompanying the shooter near the scene. She claimed nearby houses' security cameras had captured it, but for some unknown reason, the FBI had not released or even acknowledged that such footage existed. Her words carried the weight of someone who had been holding onto a secret for far too long. That's when everything began to spiral into chaos. After dropping the shocking statement about Joe Rogan's warning, social media exploded. People didn't just listen. They began investigating. Every sentence Candace uttered became a potential clue. Within hours, posts began to appear everywhere. Screenshots, alleged private messages, and even supposed audio recordings. Files began circulating online that reportedly connected Joe Rogan, Charlie Kirk, and Erica, Charlie's widow. It felt like a real-life documentary unfolding in real time. Mysterious, dark, and captivating. According to Candace, Joe's warning wasn't a simple piece of advice. She claimed that Joe had once told Charlie to be cautious about the people closest to him, as something within his inner circle seemed off. The way Candace emphasized the phrase, "inner circle," made her audience shiver. It was as if she knew something she couldn't say directly. Pausing briefly, she continued, saying that Joe had sensed a strange energy, an unexplained shift among those surrounding Charlie. No one could pinpoint what had made Joe feel that way. Some speculated that he noticed subtle changes in private conversations, while others believed an insider might have warned him. Whatever the case, Candace's story immediately focused attention on one person, Erica. Online discussions quickly turned to her. People began speculating that Joe Rogan had noticed odd behavior from Erica before Charlie's tragic downfall. No one could confirm it, but no one denied it either, and that silence made the internet even more restless. As the mystery deepened, people began connecting the dots: deleted messages, missed meetings, and unexplained private trips. Slowly, a picture began to form, and Candace appeared to be the one drawing its first outlines. Joe Rogan had sensed that something was wrong, but no one realized that his warning might be the key to a much larger web of secrets. When Candace claimed she had evidence, social media lit up once again. X, or Twitter, as some still called it, became the center of thousands of theories overnight. Some believed Joe Rogan had simply been trying to protect his friend. Others were convinced he knew far more than anyone else dared to say. Candace remained composed, refusing to confirm or deny either side. "This," she said calmly, "is the missing piece of the puzzle." Then she displayed what she called real proof, a partial screenshot of a private text exchange between Joe Rogan and Charlie Kirk. The full message wasn't visible, but what little she revealed was enough to ignite the internet. Reddit threads multiplied. TikTok users analyzed each frame of the screenshot. YouTube channels uploaded hundreds of breakdown videos within hours. According to Candace, Joe Rogan had messaged Charlie to warn him that not everyone close to him truly wanted the best for him. That chilling line alone was enough to make the audience gasp. Candace didn't say who it referred to, but the viewers didn't need her to. They immediately connected it to Erica. Soon, the internet's amateur detectives began comparing timestamps, analyzing text formatting, and studying the punctuation to verify authenticity. Some even claimed that the writing style perfectly matched Joe Rogan's mannerisms in older leaked messages. The online world split into two opposing camps. One side believed Candace completely, arguing that she only revealed part of the message due to legal concerns. The other side doubted her credibility, pointing to the cropped screenshot as evidence of manipulation. Candace didn't flinch. She said she couldn't show the rest of the message for legal reasons. Ironically, her restraint only deepened the mystery. People began asking, if there's nothing to hide, why not show it all? Within hours, a domino effect began. Internet users started digging up every old interview, photo, and video featuring Charlie and Joe together, searching for hidden signs: a strange look, an awkward pause, an unspoken moment. The story had transformed from a rumor into an obsession. Candace Owens, whether she intended to or not, had become the center of a digital storm unlike anything seen before. According to Candace, soon after Joe Rogan sent that mysterious warning message, things around Charlie Kirk began to change in subtle yet unmistakable ways. Those who had worked closely with him said his behavior was different. He seemed quieter, more withdrawn, as if carrying a heavy burden that no one could understand. Charlie, who had once been known for his confidence and infectious energy, now appeared hesitant, even uneasy. The man who used to fill every room with charisma had started canceling meetings without notice, turning off his phone for long stretches, and avoiding the people he once trusted completely. He wasn't himself, Candace explained softly during her live stream. It sounded like something was weighing on him, something he couldn't share. Around the same time, Joe Rogan also began to step back from public attention. He appeared less frequently, and those close to him said that he didn't like the direction things were going. His statements were vague, but in light of what was happening, they seemed loaded with hidden meaning. Many began to wonder, had Joe sensed that something dark was unfolding, or was it simply the instinct of someone used to power, secrecy, and manipulation? The online community quickly transformed into a massive detective network. Reddit threads, TikTok edits, and YouTube analysis videos flooded the internet, each examining Charlie's final months for signs of distress. Viewers compared old interviews, studying his eyes, his tone, even the way he smiled. "Look closely," one user wrote, "he smiles, but his eyes don't." Comments like that appeared by the thousands, drawing millions of views. A single question echoed across social media. Was this just stress, or was something much darker happening behind the scenes? Candace, in her broadcast, said that the energy around Charlie had completely shifted since Joe's warning. She described him as someone caught between belief and fear, a man on constant alert, wanting to escape something he couldn't name. Theories multiplied online. Some claimed that someone close to Charlie wanted him silenced or controlled. Others believed Joe had seen the danger and tried to protect him, but no one took him seriously. Amid all this, one name kept surfacing: Erica, Charlie's widow. People noticed her demeanor during interviews and memorial appearances. Calm, composed, almost too perfect. È ristreint dru suspicion. "Something is off," one viewer commented. "No one who has faced such a loss stays that calm." That quiet composure became the focus of endless debate. The silence surrounding her was louder than any accusation. In stories filled with mystery, sometimes what is left unsaid becomes the most haunting evidence of all. After Candace shared the full story, the internet erupted once again. Major news outlets, gossip pages, and small creators alike couldn't stop discussing the alleged warning Joe Rogan had sent. Hashtags like #Rogan warned Charlie and #What did he know dominated social feeds. Curiosity turned into obsession. Fans, journalists, and people who had known Charlie all wanted the same answer. What exactly had Joe seen? Then, to everyone's surprise, some of Charlie's close friends began to speak out. They admitted there had been something undeniably strange about him in his final weeks. The man who was once bright, cheerful, and talkative had become distracted and weary. He spent long hours alone, staring at his phone, lost in thought. One coworker remembered that he would leave meetings suddenly and seemed to guard his privacy in a way he never had before. He was living between two worlds, the colleague said quietly. The public one everyone saw, and a private one he couldn't talk about. It was later revealed that Charlie had stopped letting Erica manage his private calls. A major shift, since she had always been the one to organize his schedule and filter his communication. Suddenly, he wanted to handle everything himself. At the time, no one thought much of it. But after Candace's revelations, it took on new meaning. Was Charlie trying to protect something? Or was he afraid of someone? As the story spread, whispers began circulating among people who had known Charlie personally. One close friend said that Joe Rogan had indeed tried to warn him. According to this source, Joe had felt an unexplainable sense that something terrible was about to happen. Something he couldn't put into words but couldn't ignore either. Looking back now, those friends believed Joe had seen what others missed. Slowly, a more coherent picture began to form. This was no longer a random rumor. The fragments, Charlie's sudden change in behavior, his growing distance, his strange silence, began fitting together in disturbing ways. Online, debates grew fiercer. One camp believed that Charlie was surrounded by people who couldn't be trusted. The other insisted he was simply burnt out and exhausted. But whichever side people chose, one thing was certain. He was no longer the same person he had been. Throughout all of it, Candace remained calm and steady. She didn't sound angry or desperate. She spoke with the tone of someone who had seen too much and kept quiet for too long. There was a strange pain in her voice. Not the pain of drama, but of conviction. She wasn't seeking attention. She simply wanted to be heard. When she finally said, "It's time to speak," her audience fell silent. Everyone understood this had gone far beyond gossip. According to those close to her, Candace had spent weeks piecing together the story herself, reviewing posts, interviews, and timelines. She noticed odd inconsistencies. Text messages that didn't align with Charlie's known schedule, missing evidence, and details that seemed to have been conveniently overlooked. "This can't be a coincidence," she reportedly said. What disturbed her most was the timing of certain messages. Some were sent at hours when Charlie should have been offline or unavailable. "Did someone else send them?" she asked. "Were they composed from another device?" No one knew, and that uncertainty gnawed at her. When Candace spoke about it, her tone wasn't dramatic. It was low, controlled, and heavy with frustration. She wasn't trying to convince anyone. She was describing something she genuinely believed was being hidden. "They're hiding something," she whispered during one broadcast, her voice trembling slightly. Viewers could feel that she wasn't acting. People who had seen her notes claimed that she had found deleted messages, some of which might prove Joe Rogan's warning was more than friendly advice. One missing note reportedly suggested that Joe had sensed something deeply wrong within Charlie's circle. A signal he may have recognized too late. Candace said Charlie was torn between loyalty and fear. He didn't know whom to trust, the friend who warned him or the partner who had always been by his side. What broke him most, she claimed, wasn't the truth itself but the uncertainty of not knowing who was telling it. That confusion, that isolation, was what weighed on him the heaviest. By now, the entire internet had begun asking the same question. Why was Joe Rogan still silent?
No Daniel, no clarification, not even a single comment, just total silence.
Some of Joe's acquaintances said that this was his typical way of reacting when something hit too close to home. One source claimed he still felt guilt, believing he had tried to warn his friend but failed to stop what came next. Another suggested he avoided the subject altogether because he feared that speaking out might trigger something beyond his control.
Yet his silence only made the mystery deeper.
In a world where a single post can turn a rumor into fact, Joe Rogan's refusal to say anything at all made people believe there really was something to hide. As the storm grew, Candace Owens became both the most praised and the most attacked person online. Supporters applauded her for having the courage to speak out when everyone else stayed quiet. Critics accused her of exploiting tragedy for attention. But no matter what side people chose, no one could deny that she had reignited a story that refused to die. Every day brought new claims, new evidence, new theories. Screenshots surfaced, voice notes leaked, and timelines were dissected frame by frame. It wasn't just gossip anymore. It had turned into a full-scale investigation driven by millions of online detectives. Meanwhile, the silence from Joe Rogan grew more deafening. For someone known to comment openly on nearly every topic imaginable, his refusal to speak about this one made the situation even more suspicious. He didn't tweet, didn't mention it on his podcast, and didn't respond to any press inquiries. His social media remained eerily still. That quietness became its own kind of statement. People began to interpret his silence as guilt, or at least as confirmation that something deeper was going on. If it was all false, one journalist said, Joe would have shut it down in one sentence. But he hasn't, and that tells us everything. At this stage, Candace released another piece of what she called undeniable proof. It was an audio clip, heavily distorted, but still recognizable, of a male voice that sounded remarkably similar to Joe Rogan. The voice was calm, low, and filled with concern. "I'm telling you, watch who you trust," the voice said. "Not everyone around you wants to see you win." Though Candace never directly confirmed that it was Joe, she didn't need to. Her caption read simply, "You decide."
The internet, predictably, lost control.
Within hours, the clip was everywhere. Slowed down, enhanced, remixed, and analyzed by sound engineers, podcasters, and conspiracy theorists alike. Some claimed it was definitely Joe's voice, pointing to specific phrasing and tone patterns he often used. Others insisted it was fake, an AI clone or manipulated audio. The debate became so intense that even professional voice analysts weighed in. One expert said that while the sample was too short to confirm authenticity, its rhythm and cadence matched Joe Rogan's speech with high probability. That single phrase, high probability, became headline material. People quoted it endlessly as if it were the final verdict. The more Candace revealed, the darker the story became. She hinted that Charlie Kirk had discovered something that threatened powerful interests. She didn't specify what, but her tone made it sound dangerous. Something connected to money, reputation, and influence. She claimed that Charlie had planned to reveal everything in an upcoming interview but never got the chance. The implication was chilling. That his silence wasn't voluntary. That perhaps his sudden death wasn't just a tragic accident but something orchestrated to keep him quiet. At first, people called it speculation. But when Candace showed parts of Charlie's unfinished notes, private drafts found on his old tablet, the atmosphere changed completely. The notes were fragmented, written in short sentences as if he had been planning to organize them later. Phrases like, "They're watching me," and "Joe was right," appeared multiple times. The handwriting was verified by experts who compared it to his known journals. This, for many, was the turning point. What had once been dismissed as online conspiracy now looked like a potential cover-up. The FBI's official statement only deepened the mystery. They claimed that there was no evidence of foul play, and dismissed the theories as unfounded rumors fueled by social media. But their unwillingness to release full footage from the security cameras only made the public more skeptical. Candace seized on that silence, accusing the authorities of protecting the wrong people. Her followers erupted in anger, demanding full transparency. "If there's nothing to hide," she asked during one stream, "then why keep the tapes locked away?" Over the next few days, journalists began digging into Erica's past. Old interviews resurfaced, along with inconsistencies in her statements about the night of Charlie's death. She had mentioned being home alone, yet phone records showed activity near an unfamiliar location. The media tried to contact her, but she refused to comment. When she finally appeared in public weeks later, she looked composed but distant, avoiding any direct mention of Candace or Joe Rogan. Her silence, like Joe's, only made people more suspicious. Candace continued releasing information in small doses. Each piece sent shockwaves online, fueling endless debates. She revealed screenshots of messages between unknown contacts in Charlie's phone, with one saved under a strange nickname that no one could identify. "Who is this person?" she asked live. The audience watched her scroll through the messages, analyzing every word, every timestamp, every punctuation mark. When she pointed to a specific message that read, "He knows," the chat exploded. "He knows what?" people asked. "And who sent it?" Theories grew wild. Some said it was a warning from Joe himself. Others believed it was a threat from someone inside Charlie's inner circle. Every theory seemed possible, and every new clue made the truth feel both closer and farther away. Candace kept reminding her viewers that she wasn't making claims. She was simply showing what she had found. But her calm tone and confident delivery made it clear that she believed every word she said. As the weeks went on, major media outlets finally picked up the story, though most framed it as viral misinformation. But the more they tried to discredit it, the more people believed it. Viewers pointed out how mainstream outlets always avoided mentioning Joe Rogan directly, even when discussing the controversy. That selective silence became its own kind of proof for many. "They're scared of him," commenters wrote. "They won't say his name because they know it's true." Eventually, even Joe's podcast fans began demanding answers. During a live Q&A, thousands flooded the chat with questions, asking whether he had really warned Charlie Kirk. Joe read a few comments, paused for a moment, smiled faintly, and said, "I'm not touching that topic." Then he moved on as if nothing had happened. But the brief expression on his face, half amusement, half unease, reignited the entire debate. Clips of that single moment went viral overnight. Candace responded shortly afterward with another statement. "There it is," she said. "That's the confirmation you were all waiting for." Whether it truly was or not didn't matter anymore. The internet had made up its mind. To millions, Joe Rogan's silence was no longer denial. It was admission. By now, the story had spiraled beyond control. It wasn't about one man's death or one woman's warning anymore. It had become a global obsession, a reflection of how truth and speculation blur together in the digital age. Candace Owens stood at the center of it, calm and unwavering, while Joe Rogan remained in the shadows, his name echoing across every platform. In the end, Candace ended her final live stream with a chilling line that silenced everyone watching.
Remember this, the truth doesn't hide forever. It waits for the right moment.
Then she looked straight into the camera, gave a small nod, and ended the broadcast. The screen went dark, but the internet didn't. The story continued to grow, whispered, debated, analyzed, and even as days turned into weeks, one question remained unanswered. What did Joe Rogan really know about Charlie Kirk's widow?